Tony Khan has teased a Forbidden Door debut and signing this Wednesday. We saw some major returns on last night's SmackDown, and an AEW star has revealed why they chose AEW over WWE. Stay tuned. So teasy Tony Khan doing some teasing on social media, announcing that a top wrestler will debut on this Wednesday's Dynamite broadcast in Atlantic City. It's got the whole wrestling world talking, that's for sure. He tweeted, as referenced on AEW Rampage, I have a surprise. On AEW Dynamite, a top wrestler will walk through the Forbidden Door and debut in AEW. More info to come. He followed up this tweet with another saying the Forbidden Door can be opened for anyone from any wrestling promotion in the world, whether or not it's a company AEW is on good terms with, even if it's from someone that's open for business. They're also welcome to slam the door in the face of their prior company. Ooh, so this is very much teasing that it's somebody from the Fed, right?
Yeah, unless there's some other kind of indie underground beef that us kids don't know about because we're just not cool enough. It's got to be WWE.
We're pretty cool. It's WWE. To me, this is between two people. Number one, Keith Lee. I think this could be Keith Lee because his 90-day contract has expired. They've reportedly expressed interest in bringing him in. They'd be very, very foolish not to, of course. The other is a bit more unlikely, and I only say that because he's still under a no-compete clause. But shades of like Alberto Del Rio, when it was going to go to the courts, or they basically got him out of the no-compete clause. This could be Jeff Hardy. And the reason that I'm saying that is not just because, once again, they would be foolish not to sign him. His brother's there. But also, the match that this person is going to be in is against Isaiah Cassidy. And it is a Face of the Revolution qualifying match. Face of the Revolution qualifying ladders, right?
Yeah.
And Cassidy is basically Jeff Hardy light. If they've managed to do that, I think we would have heard something about it first, about these negotiations happening or them trying to get Jeff out of his no-compete. I think we would have probably heard down the great, but they could have done. They could have done
it. It's Jeff's such a good shout, though, isn't he? Because when Jeff was, all the news that came out the other day that we were reporting was that, WWE were painfully aware that, there is the prospect that the Hardy Boys are able to get back together if Jeff leaves, and, that's a hot commodity. People want to see that. So they were desperate to do anything they could to retain Jeff.
Well, they offered him the Hall of Fame induction, didn't they? They said, come back, we'll stick you in the Hall of Fame solo without Matt to start.
Oh, man, could you imagine?
I think they realised they made a massive mistake in letting him go, and all of the testing results and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
it looks like Jeff might be playing this quite well. All speculation. Can you think of anyone else who this might be?
The only other name that might get banded around, and it might be just simply because people aren't quite sure of the contractual situation. Like I think, as you said, Keith Lee's a good shout. Keith Lee's a fantastic shout. It could be Rhea. Maybe he gets lost on his way to Raw. But, the other name there is obviously Mustafa Ali, but he is still very much under contract. So if he was to just rock up, then we would have... We wouldn't have seen something like that crazy in many, many, many years. So I think that is by far the least likely chance because he's still very much, I believe, under contract.
As far as we know, for sure. I mean, the line, they're also welcome to slam the door in the face of their prior company.
It could be anybody.
It could suggest Ali. Yeah, it could be anyone. I think it's not going to be Mustafa.
No, I don't think it's going to be Mustafa yet, but I think it will be one day.
It could be Karrion Kross. There's a chance that Karrion Kross could go there because he's unlikely to go to some of the other big North American promotions, especially like Impact.
Yeah.
Sort of burn bridges there and everything. So Kross is a shout as well. Let us know in the comments who you think it's going to be. My fingers are crossed for Jeff. So Jeff's up there for me, but I don't think it's as likely as Keith Lee, who is there for me. And then Veer, obviously. And Ali is down there because it's not going to happen. But... Who knows?
It's just Steve
over
Austin.
to WWE now, and a big world title match has been set for WrestleMania 38. This happened on last night's SmackDown. So it looked like it was going to be Rousey selecting Becky Lynch. In Sonya Deville saying to Lynch that Rousey had selected her as a WrestleMania opponent, and then Flair's open for WrestleMania, and then on the show, Rousey came and said that actually she's choosing Flair, which we all knew.
She's officially declared. Bro. Yeah, but it's official now. It's locked in, so that's one of Mania's main events in the bag, isn't it? I mean, it's not maybe the one we want, but yeah.
I think that's got a good chance of headlining night one with then Lesnar and Reigns going on night two. It wouldn't surprise me if it does get the proper main event thing. Cool. I would have preferred to see. I think it made way more sense to do Lynch versus Rousey. I don't quite get it. I know Charlotte said that she wanted to work with Rousey and everything, but there's more beef between Becky and Rousey.
Yeah, there were reports the other day that WWE are painfully aware that Becky Rousey is something people want to see, but they want to hold it off till next Mania. So it's like, well, what do you do? Why can't we just build new stars?
Well, on the other side of things, it's also been reported the current plan, at least as of this week, is for Belair to go one-on-one with Lynch at Mania.
Yeah,
and
fair enough.
That's
actually,
cool. That's fine with me.
That kind of sews that all up nicely. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not that excited about Rousey versus Charlotte. I can take it or leave it. I'm sure it'll be good.
Ronda, it's fun to watch Ronda wrestle because she just took to it really quickly and she kind of moves in a very unique way. But ultimately, I think other than it's going to be like a big few moments in the match. But I think still waiting on that Becky match.
I just think I'll struggle to invest in either of them. Like, the wrestling is most enjoyable when you've got someone that you want to win, and I don't actually care that much.
I would probably root for Ronda over Charlotte, though.
Yeah. I think I would as well. Also on SmackDown, a couple of big returns. First of all, Big Billy Goldberg. You chuffed, Sam. You're the only person who is.
He's gonna main event every single match of WrestleMania 38.
He's not, but he is likely going to main event. Maybe, probably not, actually. He'll probably be the chamber match at main events. But he's going to be in Saudi Arabia for the Elimination Chamber.
Colour me shocked.
Confronting Reigns last night. And he said to Reigns that he acknowledged him as his next victim. Laid down the challenge. And there you go. He had a great match with Lashley last time in Saudi Arabia. And this could very well be the last match of his current WWE contract. It's not the last time we'll see him. This isn't it. He'll crack on. Especially, like, I saw a post on Reddit that was like, because he's wrestled less than an hour since he made his return, and so he's made more than like $20 million for an hour's work. Not bad work if you can get it. I can't blame him, man. I'm not excited. Spear versus Spear. We were going to get it originally, and we're getting it now in Saudi Arabia. Another return. We did see him at the Rumble, but making his SmackDown return, and he's had a match announced as well. For the Elimination Chamber, which is why we're including this here. Drew McIntyre is back to teach Moss and Corbin a bit of a lesson. What went down there, Sam?
So obviously Moss and Corbin, for anybody that missed, the sensation of the year WWE Day 1, they attacked Drew, they Pillmanized his neck, like wrapping a chair around it, and they used a bit of trust to kind of force like his neck to just be obliterated. And so he came back and he was like, I'm coming back to kind of address all this. He acknowledges that the Rumble isn't like, it didn't quite go to plan, but then he turns his direction to Corbin and Moss. Corbin comes out. There's a bit of back and forth. Moss then tries to attack Drew from behind. Drew pulls the sword and just puts it straight to his throat. And then he's like, make me laugh, funny man. And he forces him to tell a Drew McIntyre joke. Not just any joke, a Drew McIntyre joke.
That's good,
and that joke is, what does a criminal found not guilty and the main event of WrestleMania have in common?
I don't know, Sam. What does a criminal found not guilty and the main event of WrestleMania have in common?
They're both going to get off scot-free. Hey!
Come on. Anyway, we've got a match announced.
Drew lays him out. There's threats to Corbin. He's going to make his life hell. And then, WWE announced later in the night it was happening.
Big money match there set for Saudi Arabia. Elimination Chamber. So we've got, on that card, we'll run it down really quickly before we get to the final story. We've got the Elimination Chamber match, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Riddle, Austin Theory, AJ Styles. We now have added to that Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. We now have added to that Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. And also on the card, the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch versus Lita. And the SmackDown Tag Team titles on the line as the Usos take on the Viking Raiders. So book your bloody flights now. Here we go. And finally, an AEW star has revealed why they chose AEW over WWE. We're talking about Jade Cargill here, one of AEW's rising stars. She's absolutely awesome. She appeared on this week's Talk Is Jericho. Said some really interesting stuff. We'll keep this as snappy as possible. She confirmed that WWE did indeed want her. They wanted me. The problem is they had mixed feelings about what I mentioned, and that I don't need wrestling, that I don't need to do this. A lot of people at the...
Just real quick there, she mentions earlier on in the interview she's independently wealthy pretty much, so she doesn't really need this. But
which obviously concerned them. And she continued, a lot of people, especially at the tryout, they need this. This is how they feed their families. They've been doing this forever. And for them to get to this point, they would give anything and everything to do it. So they were like, we want you, we're going to sign you, but we're kind of worried about how bad you want this. We're not just some reality show. And then they questioned her pretty heavily, apparently, about having a child. And so she was asked if she has a child. She said, yeah, I do. And they said, so what are you going to do? She said, well, thankfully, because I have the money, we can pay a tutor to help tutor my child, being that we have to relocate to Orlando. I can do that. We can have a 24-hour nanny. And they were grilling her about it, she said. And she was saying, oh, okay, my spice can travel. Well, my spice. She does not take spice. That was a mispronunciation. My spouse can travel with me wherever I go. This could be easy for me. I thought about all the precautions to this. And he was like, yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. But this is your family now. I want you to know that. Imagine saying that to a mother. Isn't that bonkers?
I mean, to throw a name out there that's not quite as popular in the wrestling world, Vince Russo, this was a similar situation to what made him walk from WWE, apparently.
The difference is his family don't want to talk to him. He's got a family.
But Vince turned around to him and he was like, well, what am I supposed to do about my kids? And, there was a situation where he was just basically being made to work more hours. And Vince went, just get a nanny, and just walked off. And he was like, nah, I'm out, and just walked. And it's, I get the idea, you're a traveling troupe. It's like being part of the circus. You've got to kind of rely on those around you. And, you're constantly moving from city to city. You all need to help each other. You've all got to make sure everybody's all right. So in that respect, it is a family. But I'd argue it's more of a family of the actual locker room, and the company itself isn't really included in that.
I mean, it's all bollocks, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's got a two-year-old bloody kid.
It's just crap that to turn around and say that to a person like that.
It's all right, Jade. It's your Uncle Madcap Moss. Come and sit on Uncle Madcap's knee. Forget your real family. Anyway, that's your lot. We will see you again for another news video very, very shortly. Take care of yourselves. All the best.
Bye.
Say tatty bye. You never say tatty bye anymore.
Tatty bye.
There you go.
Bye-bye. Tatty bye.